Welcome to our Welcome to our Facebook Live event. I'm Janice Nickel, Program Coordinator with K-State's Global Campus, and we're really glad you could join us tonight to talk about Kansas State University's online and on-campus early childhood education teacher program. With us is Mary DeLucy, an Associate Professor and Advisor in the Early Childhood Education Program, and Malia Lundeen, Assistant Director of Recruitment for K-State Global Campus. While we're going through the details about the program tonight, if you have some questions, please feel free to go ahead and put those down there in the comment section, and then we'll address those at the end of the program. To start off, Mary, could you give us an overview of the Early Childhood Education Bachelor's Degree program that we have here at K-State?
Sure. Malia and I are so happy to be able to join you here tonight and give you some updates about the quality of the work that we provide in order to make our programs accessible to students within the United States as well as across the world. The bachelor's degree program was actually started nearly 120 years ago. In the early 1900s. K-State was one of the first schools to have one west of the Mississippi. By the year 2000, we were fortunate enough to begin our online program, and so we have both opportunities for students on campus as well as through distance to benefit from the quality of the coursework that we provide.
So I do understand you said in 2000 that we started the online program. The bachelor's degree program consists of 120 hours of liberal arts, professional coursework, and then some clinical experiences. Is that correct?
Yes. The teacher education program is very similar to other teacher education programs in that practice is a critical element. Students don't simply take courses and talk about the what-ifs. The program is distinguished by a number of clinical experiences that the students complete, working with infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and kindergartners in developing the knowledge and skills that they need to be a highly effective teacher.
So I understand that the Early Childhood Unified Birth through Kindergarten licensure combines early childhood education and early childhood special education, content knowledge, and pedagogy blended into one pre-service teacher education program.
Yes, over the last decade or more, there's been an increasing recognition that teachers need to be prepared to teach all children, including children with delays and with disabilities. So many programs today have a unified component, which means that the students are prepared to understand exceptionalities as well as accommodations that are appropriate in meeting the developmental and the learning needs of young children who may have disabilities.
So students in this program who wish to work in early education programs in administrative or teaching positions, or who work with parents or community agencies, or as well as young children from birth through kindergarten. And then after they successfully complete this program, they're eligible for licensure.
That's correct. After completing the 120 credit program and successfully completing all the clinical experiences, students also take national teacher ed exams and can apply for licensure by the state of Kansas. We're really proud of our pass rate. We right now have a 99% pass rate of students who have taken the national teacher exams in order to become licensed as teachers in Kansas.
So we also have a master's degree program in early childhood education, which prepares individuals to be master teachers, administrators of early childhood programs, leaders in the development of child care policy.
Mm-hmm. Many of our graduate students do have an undergraduate degree in early childhood education, but that's not required. Right now, for example, a considerable number of our graduate students are individuals who are holding an elementary education teaching license and undergraduate degree, and they recognize the value of adding the early childhood knowledge and expertise to their teaching proficiencies. And so they really enrich our courses by sharing experiences that they have every day in their classrooms.
And I understand that if you currently hold a Kansas teaching license in another area, that you can add an early childhood education endorsement to a current teaching license. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes. Those elementary education teachers, for example, who are licensed in elementary ed, are going ahead and adding the early childhood unified birth through kindergarten license or / endorsement to their current license. But we also have students who have a family and consumer science background. And because of the need for a greater understanding of early childhood and early childhood practices, some of them are also working toward adding this endorsement to their current license.
Mary, you mentioned that the program leads to teacher licensure in early childhood education unified. And I think you spoke a little bit about what the unified teaching license was. Could you talk about that just a little bit more and its importance?
Yes, because of the recognition that teachers need to be prepared to work with all students, our program is very strong in knowledge and understanding of various exceptionalities, whether they be exceptionalities that children are born with or that may develop over time through accidents or health issues, for example. So our students have opportunities to take coursework in exceptional development. Their teaching methods and child development courses all blend in special education information in terms of the nature of the disability and accommodations that would be appropriate in supporting those children so that they can reach their potential.
We know that students are required to complete a semester of student teaching, whether they're on campus or in our online programs. Obviously, we help place the students out there that are in our on-campus programs. How would an out-of-state student complete this student teaching experience and ultimately become licensed in the program?
Our College of Education has a very extensive network across the country and is essential in making the placements that are high quality and that do in fact enhance the teaching skill and knowledge of our students. So the first thing is students work with me, we fill out all the required paperwork, we make sure that there are educational institutions close by them that are willing to accept them. It's a lot of investment, a great deal of time and energy that these local schools put into supporting and mentoring our students. And so it's a very special relationship that we develop with them. Of course, it's all modified or managed by the College of Education in order to ensure that everyone's needs are being met and that there is clear transparency in the experience. In addition to student teaching, however, our students complete a number of other practica experiences that are also supervised and mentored at the local level. In order to ensure that someone really is qualified to effectively teach young children from birth through kindergarten, they need to have experiences working in settings with those children. So our students complete practicum with infants and toddlers, which also can be done at the local level. Sometimes those are done through accredited programs. Other times they're done through school district programs that provide special services to children from birth to 3 who have disabilities. In addition, the students complete a practicum working in what's called an inclusive classroom, where we have preschoolers with and without disabilities who learn together, and the teacher is responsible for planning learning activities that are appropriate for both typically as well as atypically developing children. They also complete a practicum in kindergarten. After completing all of these basic or foundational experiences, then they're assigned to a student teaching experience. The student teaching experience runs through the entire semester all day, and the students have a great deal of opportunity to learn about young children, to refine and to perfect those teaching practices, and to be mentored by that supervising teacher.
So we know that the program is approved by the Kansas State Department of Education and is accredited by the National Council for the Accreditation of Teacher Education, which is NCATE. In addition, the program has received several awards and distinctions, and Now, Mary, you want to talk a little bit about that because you've been an
Yeah.
integral part of those.
It's just such an exciting time to know that the program that we're offering is meeting the needs of individuals, students, as well as communities and schools and families. Probably the one element that we're most proud of is our pass rate with the national exams. To have a 99% pass rate is quite outstanding, and it really does demonstrate pretty clearly and strongly that the students are being prepared appropriately to meet the needs as professional associations have identified them to be highly qualified teachers working with our young children. Furthermore, 97% of our graduates are employed, or they're enrolled in graduate school, or they're doing non-career activities such as homemaking, other very important activities for an individual. Last year, our program was identified as the third best online early childhood teacher education program in the United States. So for 2017, we're quite proud of that statistic. Early on, the program was described as an exceptional program by the Association for Continuing Higher Education.
And after graduation and earning a teacher licensure, I understand the students have a variety of professional positions that they can choose to go into. I know some prefer to work in a home-based setting, possibly. You talked about the early intervention services with families, infants and toddlers with disabilities. Other licensed teachers prefer to work in a school district inclusive classroom. I think I heard you say that all the graduates have the skills to work with children from birth through kindergarten, including those with special needs, because they've had the coursework and the clinical experiences, right?
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be in early childhood because there are so many varied opportunities for our graduates. Students who, after they graduate, really prefer to work with the parents and help the parents better support their young children with disabilities have an opportunity to do that by acting as early interventionists. These are individuals who work through school districts typically and who provide special services to children with special educational needs from birth through age 3. We also have licensed teachers who prefer to be in classrooms, and so in Kansas they might be teaching in 4-year-old at-risk classrooms or in early childhood disabilities classrooms. And then in addition, we certainly have the kindergarten classroom teaching opportunity as well. But the richness of the program really is that our graduates understand development, and particularly they understand exceptional development, and they have the knowledge and the skills in order to modify their teaching in order to accommodate those young children so that they can, in fact, be more successful.
Well, from what I hear and what I read, individuals with early childhood education degrees and these unified teaching licenses are in high demand throughout the state of Kansas and across the nation, with an average starting salary in Kansas of around $37,000.
And that starting salary is just with the bachelor's degree. Many individuals in the field of education continue to take coursework and move up the salary scale. In some smaller communities where the need is even greater, it's quite competitive. So these individuals may be hired at a higher than normal salary because they're in such desperate demand. And the federal government has recognized this as a high need field and has in fact made different types of grant opportunities available. And Malia will be talking about that in a few minutes.
Well, we do know that investing in a college education is certainly a significant commitment, and Kansas State's tuition is competitive with the other 4-year institutions around, but having access to scholarships and those kind of financial opportunities obviously is very appealing. Malia, you want to talk a little bit about what might be available to students out there?
Hi everyone, my name is Malia Lundeen. As mentioned earlier, I work for Kansas State University Global Campus, And my office works with students who are interested in enrolling in our online programs. And then we have staff that work with these students to assist them through the application and the financial aid processes. So I'm going to kind of switch gears and talk about the different processes that are involved in becoming an online student and how you can finance that. So you can kind of group financial aid opportunities into 4 key areas. The first being the FAFSA, that's federal financial aid. So those are grants and loans that you may be eligible for. Almost everybody qualifies for some type of federal financial aid. The university does have a priority deadline, but you can apply for federal financial aid at any point leading up to your enrollment. And you'll want to apply for the FAFSA every year. The second main category is the university scholarships, Kansas State University scholarships. So on the Office of Student Financial Assistance website is where that application is housed, and you can fill that out once per year as well. But that makes students eligible for scholarships and opportunities at the main university level, through the colleges, and then also through the academic departments. Similarly to the FAFSA, there's a priority deadline, but you can fill that out at any time. A third category is global campus scholarships, which was where I work. So we reserve over $100,000 annually to award to online students in the form of scholarships. Our application is actually open twice per year. So the next application would actually open up in February and be due in early April. Lastly, there are a number of private scholarships and opportunities available, including some grants that are available to teachers. Some organizations and community groups in your area may have opportunities as well that you can seek out and apply for aid through them. If you are employed, many employers offer tuition reimbursement programs, so I would encourage you to check with your employer to see if you'd be eligible for reimbursement. As Janice and Mary have alluded to, the impact of teachers is valued, so individuals pursuing a teaching degree have access to a number of additional scholarship and grants specifically for them. After this live video, we'll be posting a Facebook album on this page that will include a number of different documents, including one that's going to outline all of these specific financial aid opportunities in detail.
So now that we've heard about how we can pay for college, Malia can give us some idea on how we can apply.
Yeah, so I'll first start with the bachelor's degree, the early childhood education bachelor's degree. To be admitted to the university, you need to have at least a 2.0 GPA. You will be required to pay a small application fee, and there are application deadlines that you need to be sure that you will meet. The next upcoming application deadline is January 1st, so the soonest you could get started in this program is late January if you get everything in by that January 1st deadline. Each of the other deadlines are spelled out on our website. And then there's additional required documentation that you'll need to send in as part of your application, and these are your official transcripts from each of the institutions that you've received college credit for prior to enrolling at K-State. It can take several weeks for your application to be processed once all of your materials have been received, so you want to make sure to give yourself plenty of time to do that prior to the deadline. If you are one of those students transferring in credit, K-State offers a transfer equivalency guide online on our website. I'm sure we'll include a link to that after this video. But that's a tool that you can use to evaluate your credits yourself, just to get a general idea of how many credits K-State will accept. But once you enter the application process and send in your official documentation, there are transcript staff who will evaluate each of your transcripts and classes one by one, and they'll let you know how many credits K-State will receive. We do accept up to 90 credits transferred in, and a max of 60 of those credits can be from a community college. If you are a student that has little to no credit and maybe live close to or would feel more comfortable getting started at a community college, we partner very closely with each one of the 19 community colleges in the state, as well as community and technical schools even outside of the state. We have a 2+2 program, and those program curriculum sheets will outline specifically the classes that you need to take at the community college, and then how those will transfer at K-State, and what 60 credits then you'll be completing at K-State, so that you're not taking the wrong classes at either institution. And if 2+2 with the community college is something that you're interested in, most of the academic advisors at the community colleges will know about this program and have those documents for you, and then again, they can be found on our website. A second program that we just launched is Direct Link. This is a dual advising program where if you are a part of it, your advisor at the community college will know and work very closely with the advisor at K-State, and they will keep each other informed and keep you informed about what classes you need to take so you don't get off track. So that's all for the bachelor's degree. For the master's degree, it's similar, but there are a few differences in the application process. One being that the admission requirement for this program is a 3.0 GPA on your bachelor's degree. So you have to have already completed a bachelor's degree with a 3.0 on the last 60 credits, or approximately the last 2 years of that degree. And if interested, students can add teacher licensure to the master's degree as well if you're not already a licensed teacher. There are no application deadlines for the master's degree. It's a rolling deadline, but you do want to try to make sure that you complete your application within a couple of months before the semester starts, so that you're not rushing and getting those documents and getting everything submitted on time. Similarly to the bachelor's degree, there is a small application fee. And through the application to Kansas State University's graduate school, there are a number of documents that you'll need to upload to that application. So you'll want to be thinking about having a statement of objectives, having 3 professional references that you can add their contact information to the application so that the department can contact them and learn more about why you'd be qualified for the degree. And then again, transcripts from each institution where you have already received college credit. So I know that's a lot of information to process, and you can contact me through this email address or my office. Our contact information can be found online. And like I said, we're there to help you through the application and financial aid processes, because we realize it can get complicated. So we're available by phone, email, and then we have a website chat as well.
And I might add that Malia and her staff are really adept at answering questions, and it doesn't matter whether you're an on-campus student or interested in an on-campus program or online program. They're very similar, and Malia is going to know the answers to the questions, or she's going to know who to talk to if she doesn't know the answers to those questions. So we'll have some contact information provided below after this is over. Mary, so what sets K-State's early childhood education programs apart from the other early childhood education programs out there?
I think that there are 3 main ways in which our program is different from some of the other programs that may be available out there. The first one is the extent of student engagement, particularly in the clinical experiences. By the time our students graduate, they've completed nearly 700 hours of clinically supervised practice. And within every single one of those hours, they've received supportive mentoring from the on-site teacher as well as from the university supervisor. So the opportunity to develop very strong skills in thinking and in practice is evident. A second major strength is who's teaching our classes. The instructors that we have are very high quality. As you said earlier, they all have their master's degree and they all have significant experience in the field. So our students benefit from and recognize the value of having someone who knows what they're doing. And then finally, the approach that we take in our classes is somewhat different than what many online programs take. Oftentimes an online program will be characterized by message board or what we call asynchronous educational opportunities, so that a student can do his or her work whenever it's convenient for them and then spend time, quote unquote, chatting with other students through that message board medium. But in addition to that, our classes are distinguished by real-time chat sessions, typically using Zoom technology. So students who participate in our courses meet every single week at a scheduled time. Thanks to Zoom, they can see the faces as well as hear the voices of other students who are taking the classes. And we have that opportunity to engage in real-time dynamic verbal interaction as issues come up in a contemporary way.
We talked, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Well, I see that there's a couple of questions from our viewers, so I didn't know if now would be a good time to try and answer those.
I wanted Mary to talk a little, before we go to those questions, we talked about the experience that the student teachers would have located outside of Manhattan or the physical campus here. But I thought maybe you might want to talk a little bit about Stonehouse and the experience that our on-campus students get from, the richness of that facility, because it's a pretty unique facility.
Yeah, we are pretty blessed on campus to have the Stonehouse Early Childhood Education Learning Center. We have a number of classrooms serving children from birth to, but not including kindergarten, who participate in classrooms on site. There's a very heavy emphasis on parent involvement and working with families, which really is something I should have mentioned earlier, because that's another very strong component to our program, the recognition that children don't develop in isolation, and partnering with parents, informing parents, and having parents inform us is absolutely critical. We're able to, because we use some of the same instructors, we're able to make connections with Stonehouse through the classes, in the chats and in the discussions that we have on Zoom.
I've seen some of the technology they have over there, and it's
yes, we are technology blessed right now.
Yes. So I do see Malia did mention that we have a couple questions there. So Mary, the question is, how many clinical experiences a student has to have to graduate?
They have to have 5. I've told you about 4 of them: infants and toddlers, preschool, kindergarten, and student teaching. But before they even enter into any of those, they take a pre-professional experiences practicum. And that particular practicum is designed to let students see what it's like to be a teacher in the field, so that before they take too many courses and get too far down the line, they have a good opportunity to evaluate whether or not this is the major that I want and the career field that I'm interested in achieving.
Looks like the next question there is, they'd like you to review the requirements for the ECE licensure.
Okay.
As referred to the certificate. So if you're an elementary ed or an FCED student, what would that?
Well, each state has its own standards for licensure, so obviously the one that I'm familiar with is Kansas. Kansas requires a strong foundation in the liberal arts, as I may have alluded to earlier, so students are required to complete mathematics and composition, statistics, history, other social science kinds of courses, so that they have that very broad and strong foundation. In addition, they complete about 60 credit hours of professional coursework, all of which is pretty much tied to either observation of children or direct involvement with children in a lab setting. In addition to completing the degree, students need to take 2 national teacher education exams and pass them. That's our 99% pass rate, by the way. Have I said that enough times yet? In addition, there's a fingerprinting requirement, an application fee, those types of state requirements that are also in place. Once a student is, in fact, graduated and licensed, it's much easier to add an endorsement to a current license. We always recommend that our students get licensed immediately after graduation, so that even if they pause for those non-academic activities, they have that license to fall back on, and updating a license is much easier than developing a new license.
Absolutely. So you did talk about the 99% pass rate on the licensure exams. I'm curious, what is it that you think gives K-State students that edge? Because that's a really high pass rate on a fairly.
The two exams are challenging. They really are quite rigorous, because there's an expectation across the country that our teachers know what they're doing and that they can enhance the learning and development of the children/students that they're working with at whatever grade level. I really do believe that it's the extensive clinical experiences that are paired with the methods courses and the opportunity for us to dialogue every single week on experiences that students are having in the classroom as well as with the coursework.
Anybody else have anything to add? Well, we certainly do appreciate you joining us tonight. This video will be posted, so if anybody wants to watch it later for their own entertainment, they sure can. We'll post some additional details about the program, and we certainly look forward to having you contact us if you do have any questions. Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.